Welcome back to Lemon Lane Cottage. This week's garden tour has us here in the potager. Now a potager traditionally is a kitchen garden, a garden that has a mixture of vegetables and herbs and flowers, just kind of a beautiful but utilitarian kind of garden that cooks would use to run out to get what they needed. And of course the flowers provide not only beauty but wonderful pollen for all of the bees and bugs and everything that help your vegetables to grow. This week I thought I would give you a full tour of the potager, what I am growing, what's coming out, what's going in, what I project for the future. You have to envision it, and this is what I love about this format of showing you each section individually every month. You can see exactly why I planted what I planted, what is coming on, what is going out, so we can kind of do our best to keep something blooming, something edible, something beautiful every month of the year. I'm just curious, what do you think of the idea of a potager garden, a kitchen garden? Is it something that you have in your home garden, or is it a little bit too unstructured for you? Would you rather have all your vegetables in one place, all your flowers in one place? What would you grow in a potager? With that in mind, let's take a look at my potager, and as always, thanks for stopping by. So this is the entry into the potager garden. It is flanked by the perennial bed, so it kind of flows in very naturally. I thought I'd first start with just giving you an overview, let you take in all the flowers, all the vegetables, the trees, everything that I have in here, and then I'll come back through and I will tell you what everything is that I can remember and that I know of. But first, let's just enjoy the beauty of the garden. Okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. This fuzzy plant as you enter the potager is dill. It is a bit of a thug in the garden. Luckily, this annual status tends to give it a run for its money, and it can get quite large. I need to be diligent about keeping the dill cut back and getting it dried. This pretty flower here is actually annual stock. It smells amazing. I grow it from seed and it reseeds beautifully. I have it in whites and in pinks. This is Jupiter's beard. This beautiful iris was a gift from a friend. I believe it was a start from her mother, who has since passed away, and it does its thing. It comes back everywhere. I've put it in a couple of different areas in the perennial bed. If you've ever grown alyssum, that's what this white little flower is, you know it reseeds itself quite liberally, as does this little white mum. This flower here is actually Linaria, and I grow it from seed every year. This is German chamomile, and you can see it's just about ready to flower. I have a few roses tucked in as well. This clematis I honestly thought was a goner. I have never had good luck with it, but I'm glad I was patient because I see some green leaves are coming out. This is oregano, and it can be quite aggressive. I have it in a pot so I can kind of cut it back as I need to. Thankfully, both the rabbits and the chickens love it, and it's good for them. In this little bird house, I have calendula. This is just parsley that comes back. It reseeds every year. There's also a little rose bush in there, but it's a ways off before it puts on any kind of a show. This actually is more of that status. This is first year seedling, so this will be spilling over in just a few months. You will see these shoots within the strawberry patch, and it's actually garlic. Garlic is supposed to repel bugs in a strawberry patch. It worked for me last year, so I thought I would try it this year. This green looks like a ground cover, but it actually is supposed to be a bluebell of some kind. It has never flowered for me yet. Hopefully it does. I also have 3 artichokes tucked into this portion of the bed and a little raspberry plant. This sweet pea here was a volunteer from a seed from last year, so obviously I just let it go. This abundant red flower is Nasturtium. It is a volunteer seedling for me here in this area of the garden. I also have it in orange and yellow. It is the happiest spring flower, goes up the fence, covers that ugly brown that I wish was different, but the flower does a lovely job of making it prettier. This is my main strawberry patch. I add probably 6 to 12 new plants every year because strawberries generally only have a lifespan of 3 to 4 years, and I want to make sure I always have some growing. You can see that one is just about ready for picking. I also have in here the cabbage. This is the best I've ever done with cabbage. I have never had one form a nice firm head like this, so I am anxious to get it picked and cook up something for my husband from his childhood. Hopefully I'll share that with you later. These tomatoes are ready to go into the ground. I've said before, I leave them in their pots that I grow the seeds in the garden for a couple of weeks just so they acclimate. I let them get a little bit bigger before I put them in. I also have a lot of kale to harvest this week. This is Swiss chard. It will actually go probably until June. It's not one of my first to bolt. This is more calendula. And when it starts flowering, I just keep on the harvest every day. It makes lovely oils and lotions. And the more you pick it, like most flowers, the more it grows. This tree here is an apricot tree. It has been in 2, maybe 3 years. It does have some fruit on it. I wish it had more. It's still early. It's not done blooming. Hopefully we'll get a decent crop from it this year and I can beat the birds to the harvest. This is basil. One I overwintered and the small ones I started from seed. I do not know what this fungus is here. I don't know if it's harmful, helpful. If you know, let me know. We are entering into the spring wildflower garden. These are just seeds that I toss in the ground. There is bachelor's buttons, poppies, that is chrysanthemum, alyssum you can see. I think there are also a few dahlias in there. And some sweet peas that will cover this trellis, fingers crossed. This is a David Austin Lady of Shallot climbing rose bush that my husband gave me for Valentine's Day. It will in time cover this trellis and cover an ugly wall. That is my plan. This whiskey barrel is full of herbs. It has been in here for quite a few years. It needs fresh dirt. I just haven't done it yet. There is mint and bee balm and holy basil, oregano that just keeps coming back. And I think I'm gonna have to probably pull some of that to add more soil to it. This is the true herb garden. I have a pot of mint you can see, and then from seed I have lovage, chervil, some dill in here, even though I have that thug in the front. There's also some other wildflowers that have just kind of planted themselves here. This is more of that chrysanthemum. It comes up everywhere. There's caraway. Let's see what else is in here. Fennel, feverview, that is from seed. Parsley comes up everywhere. There's also chamomile in here. I have transplanted some thyme that was taking over in another section of the garden. So you'll see a few of that little variegated in here in a few different spots. There's more of that Linaria. There's more basil in here from seed, a couple of mystery plants that I did not label. This is rue, which is a medicinal herb, and this is lemon verbena, more of that thyme in there. We have 2 grapevines. Last year I did not do a very good job of keeping them thinned out and I lost a ton of grapes to mildew. I have since made the what is this called? The trellis longer, and I'm going to be adamant about keeping on it and not letting it get overrun and overcrowded. Here's a little bit more of that status. This is also overwintered from last year. It has a light pink flower on it. You will notice in every tour of my garden that I have chairs, seats, rockers, benches all over the garden. I love nothing more than to sit with a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, some tea, whatever, and just look. It brings me joy. It erases the cares of the world. I could just spend hours out here working and dreaming and relaxing and planning and praying and all of those things that bring you peace. So that is a tour of the Potager for April 2021. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back next week to show you another section of the garden, probably the perennial bed. Whichever section it is, I will see you in the next video.